Welcome to Irish Outlaw Garage. It's time to rewire Javelin. Javi has a mess. I've already started taking some of the stuff apart as far as wiring and different little redneck ingenuity things that was done to it. I got some of my parts already, and here's what she looks like right now. Oh yeah, so this is the relay for the air conditioner. This, if you notice all the wonderful little things, I'm actually trying to find the I'm going to get me some with the wiring harness that plugs into this, and then I just splice in the wires. This one doesn't even have a holding unit on it that would sit up in there. And then we got all these little cheap crimps that are in here, and these wonderful things. I've got new wire for this because this is actually stereo wire coming from the alternator to the battery. So, and all these down here, you really can't see them all that well, but I'm going to rewire all this, put new ends on the actual wires, the color that are supposed to go to this Motorola alternator, because they just kind of put whatever, which is fine. I will at some point here, I'm going to get new battery cables. Starter cable looks all right. I'll get underneath there and it don't feel soft, or it's pretty snug. It'll be all right. But the idea is to make sure all the wiring here gets put in line and decently. And then I want to get one for this. Is the only other relay like it's the horn relay. I'm going to get a new plug-in style for it that has one on it with a fuse. They make them with a fuse on them. I really don't need it for the horn, but I might just do that. But all this Scotch lock, this is what goes to the back. I showed in another video, goes all the way to the back, and it's 12-volt positive. Just goes right to the battery. But I don't really necessarily like that either. I'm going to look into it, but I got to get all the wiring off of it that went to the nitrous system, because I am going to take that off of here. There's no use having this motor's like 120 horse, brand spanking new, and yeah, I can put 250 shot on it and it'll probably survive. Maybe not, but whatever, it's there. So this is what we got. Whole bunch of heat shrink. That is the cheap stuff. It is not the stuff that has the glue in it, but it's fine. I don't need the glue. And all my different things. This is key. That's going to keep everything nice and tight. So, all right, I'm going to get on this. Much as I can today, it's still kind of chilly out, which, just Illinois. But anyway, let's get to it, huh? All right. So yeah, I did a little thing on Artemis behind me about his transmission. I'm gonna put that up, and that was a complete sadness failure. Metal and clutch material was just, it was too much. So yeah, anywho, taking these off, and I'll show you here in a minute. But yeah, this is yeah, this is falling apart. Try to find out where everything's going here, because that is not cool. So, oh my God, really? So I haven't dug into this. This would be the first time I've dug in, and wow. Yeah, we're going to be doing some wiring. Big time wiring. Oh, look at there. Don't need that. So, let me see where this is going. I'm going to have to get me some more. Oh boy. Give me a second. Let me get you in here. Okay. So, this is the wire that goes to your main out, 12 volts out, you know, basically your charger for your alternator. That is how they had that spliced together. And they also just had it black taped, as you can tell, all the way up. Now the way these work is one goes to your ignition system, which basically, you know, hooks the ignition. That gives the power to the ignition switch to run power to this, to run the starter and everything else, okay? Most of you already know that. So anyway, this wire goes to the ignition. This wire is supposed to go back to battery. This is what charges your battery, okay? That way, whenever you have this going and your battery decides it don't want to play no more, this will keep everything still on and the car will run even if your battery takes crap. So now, like I said, you got one wire goes to your ignition, okay? And then you got the other wire that goes back to battery. That's this one right here. Now I just followed this back. That's this wire right here. It's hooked to this beautiful craftsmanship to this little bitty, I'm believing that is like maybe a 14 gauge. It's hard to tell because it's so hard. And anyway, it comes from this piece of crap up to this crap wire to this piece of crap, which is falling apart. And this, you know, don't use these guys, quick fix, that's it. To that wire, so we got two different connections and two different size wires going right back to right here, which is what is going to the battery right here to charge it. So you have your normal size battery going, you know, cable going to the battery that goes to your starter, and then you have the wire that is charging the battery is basically something that I would barely use on a stereo. On top of that, it has two different connectors. The wire downsizes, and guy, okay. So anyway, that's gotta go. So we're gonna replace this end, definitely, that goes to the alternator down here on this post. So I'm laughing because I cut a lot of corners, okay? I cut lots of corners. I do, you know, stuff that's, you know, probably should do better. But this is wow. Just wow. So I'm gonna work on this a little bit and I'll get you back in to let you take a gander. I'm gonna fix a little bit at a time. I'm gonna try to make sure I got enough that I can shrink wrap as much as I can. I want this stuff to be snug, tight, so it ain't just a coiled mess. I mean, you can see the size of my hand, right? I got a big hand. Look how much of a rat's nest is in here. It's as big as my hand. Yeah, anyway, we'll be back. Okay, so what I've been doing is using heat shrinks, and you can use this for more than just, you know, making sure your wires stay out of the elements ish. I also use this to put wires together to keep them from moving. That way your alternator wires go one way, they're all together in one place. Your air conditioner wires will be in another place. It's just a nice way to keep it clean, because I've had engine bay fires before, and it was usually because two wires that weren't supposed to be touching ended up touching. So I'll show you what I got here. So the end of this wire, this is the one that went to the alternator. It was a power wire. I got it cut off and I got a new wire attached to it with heat shrink and crimped together. This is the original that was on it, and this part in here where all the wires come together was absolutely just fine. There was nothing wrong with it. So I just took a piece of heat shrink, ran it across there. That keeps them two together. That goes directly to the main output of the alternator. Then I cut off all the garbage that whoever had put extra wires that didn't need to be there. They just didn't. This was hooked to the orange wire, which is wrong. And there was other ones, I just cut them off and let them fall. Here's that was the other wire. And then, whoop. No. What are you doing? Out here again. It's starting to get really nice out. I have a feeling it'll be pretty nice tomorrow. But anyway, these three are the three wires that go to your alternator, your stator, your, you know, all your stuff and your ground. And they come up here, and that's fine. They can come up here, but now we're going to take this piece of heat shrink, which is a big one. You can buy this stuff in the Dorman section of O'Reilly's. Whoop, or the electric. Well, that one I'm going to need a new one. Okay. Let me grab, I'll just show you what I got. These are all heat shrinks. This is what I'm using right here. It doesn't have the glue stuff in it, but it'll work for what I'm doing because I'm using all heat shrink. And, you know what I'm saying. But anyway, we're going to take these four, this I call one wire, which is my alternator garbage. And I just dropped another one. But anyway, we're going to take that heat shrink and we're going to put it around all these to hold them together, and those go directly to the alternator. That way you know they go to the alternator. And look what we already got. We're starting to get a hole just from me unwrapping all of the crap. They had wires upon wires just everywhere, just cobbled together. It was like they just tied them. Some of them were like literally like looped around and corkscrewed around the other ones. And look how much cleaner this is in here already. And I did find this is a major power wire that goes into the dash. And I don't know if you'll be able to catch it, but that sucker, look at that right there. It rubbed one more good ground, and this was hooked directly to the positive side of the starter solenoid right here. That's where all the power is coming off of. Right there's your fire. Like I said, one backfire, a little bit of fuel come out, boom, that's it. You got, you know. So we're getting there. I'm gonna keep going, and I'll show you once I get the alternator stuff done. And then I got the cover for it to go down, and I'm gonna hook it to this one right here. These are all gonna go together. One's gonna go down, one's gonna go to the alternator, one's gonna come up to here, and they'll all be in the same thing. That way this is nice and clean. They had it all wrapped around the ground here, and it was just I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna get back at it. This is, it seems like a lot, and it's probably a nightmare to some people to do this, but believe it or not, I'm actually pretty good at wiring. When I did go to college, and I went to college for a few things, automotive and different things, and basically the automotive wiring was a breeze. I went right through it, and that's not me bragging. That's me saying for some reason I was really good at it. I don't like to be, because I hate working with wires, but once I get going, I feel accomplished, because it's like, you know, which wire goes where. The schematic tells you this, but they may have done this, and that's what happened with this alternator. So it's very important that you keep your wires nice and clean, because once I get this done, I still got to get underneath the dash and fix that nightmare, and there's Scotch lock galore. So anyway, I'm gonna get back at it. See you in a bit. Okay, so here we go. See there's my main power. These are the, you know, the stator and all the extra digital stuff, and then I put this on here to hold these all together. Now I will run my sheath down this up to here, but I'm also gonna have this other, which goes to a couple of different you know, I think the temperature sender, the dash temperature gauge, and all that stuff goes to this. I got to trace all that yet too, but I'm going to try to get something heat shrink wise around this too. I want everything to be in its place. That way I don't have this. Like, I got to get rid of this. I got to fix this wire, and then I'm going to get rid of this tape, and I'm going to put something along the lines. I think I got some more broken wires right there, but it's getting there. This actually does nothing. For some reason, the ignition is put through this. They made a different wire, so I may attack that when I get underneath there too. But anyway, that's where I'm at. I'm gonna start getting this all more together and I'll be back. Well, yeah. So this is the wire that's headed to the horn relay. That's right there. This little black doodoo right there. So this is perhaps the craziest thing that I've found so far. Started backtracking all this. I'm trying to get the wiring for this here air conditioner relay, and this is the power wire that goes to the clutch, which, you know, powers the clutch, makes her work. So then I decided I would see what this is. Right, where'd she go? Now I lost it, dang it. So anyway, I found this one. This goes to the, usually it would be the oil pressure sender down there, but it has a gauge in it, so we ain't gonna use that one. And then this here is what went to the horn relay. Now if I can find it now, like I said, everything's dropping and falling, and it's a mess. It's an absolute mess right here. So this right here had a Scotch lock on it. The Scotch lock fell apart, right? So one side of the Scotch lock was right there. You can see the markings. This one was hooked to it in the Scotch lock, but it wasn't the wire that was cut into. They actually had it stripped like that, and this was in the Scotch lock like that. So yeah, horn relay, we're gonna redo that. That is, holy cow, people. If you don't know what you're doing, this is fire. You know, this is fire stuff. So let's try not to do what you're seeing. Let's I don't do everything perfect. I'm not the master, but let's try to make it right. Just keep your, wow. It angers me. Sorry, it angers me. Okay, so I got part of it. I'll show you just a little bit. It's getting dark. I'm gonna get a light out here because I'm gonna keep going. I'm doing good, and once I get started, I can't stop. That's I have attention deficit, and I mean, once I get started on something, you got to keep going. So I'm going to put a light on, and I'm going to show you as much as I can with the, you know, flashlight and everything else. So here we go. So this is that wire that was broke. I had there is 2 sets of heat shrink on this. I got 1 set underneath and 1 set on top. That is an oddball size. I don't know what it is. I don't get it. But anyway, I had one that was damn similar. The shielding is thicker, but the wire was the same. So that's why I went ahead with it. And I put the new end on it right there. I probably might put heat shrink on that too. I don't know. I'm telling you, I love double doing it, because once you're in here, just get it done. You know, I had to peel this back some. Probably just put more black tape on that, but this here goes to my ignition, so I got to get this straightened out, and I'm going to run a wire, get this out of here. That was temporary. I'm going to run a wire so it runs with the other wires and goes up, that way it ain't just hanging in here or whatever. And there is a hole right there for that, and I've got one. This one doesn't have the piece on it that you can bolt it to, but I got a new one that has it on it, so I'm going to redo that. Look at this already. You can get your fingers down in there, and it is getting better. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to get a light out here, shine her nice and bright, because that seems to be what everybody wants. And said everything's too dark. Like right now, I can tell already people are going to say it's too dark. So let me get the light set up, and I'm going to keep going, because I'm going to have this good and ready to roll tonight. That way, the only thing I got left to do is find a new positive cable from the battery and a new negative cable from the battery, and that is all I got to change. But I will get this done, and then we'll go on to other things. So Sit tight, coming back. Boy, it is getting dark, but it's getting warm. It's awesome. Probably can't see me very well. If I get too close into this light, it'll just blind us all. Not that I'm already blind. But I got a mock-up done. I'm missing a few things I'm gonna have to get tomorrow from the parts store. So I'm gonna show you this, but it ain't ready. But look how much cleaner this is, okay? My damn flashlight's bad. So, let me get my glasses off. This is still a mess. There's some fusible links in here that just can't be not put in here. And I still gotta get some new pieces for these. I ran out of my blue shrinks. So I did get this. That's the air conditioner right there. And it fit. There was already a hole. And just somebody didn't replace it the way they were supposed to. But all the wires there. But see, I had to replace all this, and I don't have the actual plug that goes in here. So I think I'm going to order those, and those will come in. But for now, this is what it's going to look like. And then I got to rewrap this stuff, and then I have to redo my ignition. This is my straight power ignition. The way these worked is this was the first year that they put this little doohickey right here, and this hooks straight to your your seat belt. So if you didn't have your seat belt put in, this little thing right here would tell this power not to go. So this is your main power, and this is just basically bypassing this damn thing. I mean, I could hook it back up, but seat belts. So I got to redo this wire here, and then I got to do the harness stuff, but that down there looks awesome. Everything's starting to look, and I mean, there's so much more room in here. Everything's put where it's supposed to be. I just got to get it all lined up, and I need more of these. I need the blue, what is it, 12 gauge or something like that. I'm out of them. And I am going to keep this style on for the distributor. That way I can just unhook her. I can check the power here. I'm getting power up there. So, but I still got a little bit to do. But, this will show you that it is getting somewhere. I can't believe it. But it's going to work. It's going to work. Might be back later. Might be tomorrow. If not, have a good night. Well, I felt like going for a little while tonight. It's getting late. I had to run and get some extra stuff. Still ain't got everything. Got cold out while I was out here, but it's not like freakish cold, so I just kept going. But I am going to be done for tonight. I'll get back on it tomorrow, but I'll show you what I've done tonight. Just real quick, and it looks a lot better. Look at that. All that bird's nest is gone. Some of this stuff is just mocked up. I'm going to have to cut back into here further and get better wire, and then I've got the right connectors for it. This was just, I just wanted to see how it looked. I still got to put stuff together in their sheaths, and then I rebuilt all the wires for the air compressor relay, because nobody in town had the little plug. Whatever, I know I bought them in town before. I may still buy some online, but I got these built pretty well. They're, I'm gonna take them all back off, and I'm going to shrink wrap them all together. That way we know which is which. And then I have to order a block. I am going to order a power block, because that is exactly how that has to go. And no, that ain't happening. I'll put it here on the wall or something where there's something right here that distributes the power out. I don't want anything on there like that. There's a couple fusible links. But other than that, it's just wire, and I'm not happy with that. I did buy a new starter solenoid, but it's getting there. And wiring takes a while. I mean, if you want to do it right, and I screwed up a couple times, I'm gonna have to redo it. But right now, I'm mocking it up to see where I want it to go. Like, I'm gonna get rid of that stupid, I don't know what that fuse thing is, but it's not gonna be like that. That's for damn sure. But anyway, I'm gonna head inside. It's a little chilly, and I'm tired. So I'll see you tomorrow. Well, good afternoon. I had Pinewood Derby stuff to do, and in the background you're going to hear a motorcycle running. That's Zeppy on his little motorcycle. He wanted to ride it real bad, and it's like 70 some degrees out here today. It's kind of weird, but anyway, we're going to get right on this. I did fix some wiring up, but I have some things to show you. And when you're messing with these old cars, this is why I have to emphasize to do not trust, because it's black taped and somebody had worked on it, because anybody can run black tape. But let me show you a couple things I've done real quick. So I still got to sheath this. I think I might get a new cable. I'm probably going to. I did get all the alternator hooked up, and if you notice there, I don't know if I got a flashlight handy. I put that covering on that wire all the way up to here, and then I ran that same covering all the way up to here and spliced out the air conditioner line, and just used black zip ties, you know, and make sure you cut them off just right so that there's a point that when you put your hand down in there, you come out looking like you got in a fight with a cat. Then all this I'm going to try to tidy up a little, but you do want some wires exposed, I guess. They did from the factory. I'm going to see what I can do about putting something on these, but I do want some of them exposed, like this here. This is a fusible link, and there's 2 of them. I am going to go to the parts store and get me a block of some kind to put on the wall right here. I'm trying to turn it around, but that way it's got power. Just the only thing that comes to here is a starter, the main power, and then one, and what would be from the alternator would come here and then back, and then I'm going to run one over to a block over here. Whether it's got fuses or not, I may make it one of them big maxi fuse things. I don't know. I haven't figured that part out. I got to go look. So I did get all that done. You know, this up here I'm going to tackle whenever I take that nitrous plate out of there. But here's what I'm talking about when I say you need to cut back all the tape. Okay, so I seen this, and I had this right here, and I knew it was not permanent. I just kind of used it to see how much wire I would need to go, and I wasn't sure if I'd get right back to it, so I just sealed it up, kind of, sort of ish. But look what I found underneath the black tape. Look at that. Nothing on it. It was just black taped, and it wasn't like wrapped itself and then put up against this. No, it was just up against this and then black taped in. Well, if you see, it got hot. Look at that. Now, this red wire that is right here that was coming off of this is 12 volt at the key. This was just coming right off of there, and it was just, you know, just laying in there. My guess is that probably would be a good source for like the horn relay or something like that. It goes nowhere. It's never been on anything. But anyway, that's what I'm saying. If you're working on these old timies, look at that. This is a fire waiting to happen. I'm going to inspect all these, make sure there's no breaks. They don't feel too hard. I think it just got hot. But I'm going to double check everything, and I may be just cutting all these wires and putting a splice in it, but hopefully not. I'd rather I just come right off of here. I got plenty of room. I left myself plenty of lead to come back here and put a good shrink wrap connection on this. That way it does not, you know, cause a fire. And this one here, I'm going to have to find something to do. That's for the original oil gauge. Unless I can find another place, I might just run it so that way I have the original oil gauge too. This is coming off. This is all coming off. I'm going to cut this back and do it right. I'll probably run her all the way back to here. And then, you know, I don't have anywhere else. It's factory to here. As I said, people do a pretty good job of taping. You just need to be real careful with that, man. I hate to see somebody burn down their car or truck they're working on. Just this right here, this wiring will destroy a car faster than anything. Maybe even faster than those glass fuel filters that, by the way, this car had on it, and it leaked and caught a fire. So yeah, that's where we're at. I do have the alternator hooked up. It is perfect. Everything, I measured it out just about perfectly. So I'm not so worried about this no more. I've got this sorted, except for this. This is too much. I'm not having all that on one post. It's not good for the solenoid either, because that's putting a lot of weight on that. And they don't make these like they used to. They're pretty much crap. And this is top of the line one. So, but I need to get a new one of these anyway. I'm gonna get a fuse block. But anyway, it's time to get to work. We're gonna do this, and once I get that, I'm gonna maybe change both of these. I may buy new ones while I'm out, and I'll get them on the battery, and then I'm gonna start it and run it, make sure everything's working, check for fires, leave this all undone. I'm not retaping this, by the way. I am gonna put one of those coverings on it. That way I can at least get to it till I'm sure. I don't really like using black tape all that much. I'd rather use this stuff, or even the cheap plastic crap, you know. So anyway, let's get at it. Howdy-ho. Got a bunch of it done. Just doing some testing. Had it running. Charging system's good. Right where it was before. But I'm finding extra wires that I didn't know I had. But my oldest is coming over to help me here in a second. He's going to be back. I got to have him turn the key and see what's pulling power here, because I got a couple wires. I'm not exactly sure where they go. I got to do some digging. But yeah, we'll see what's going on here. I've got so far I got all this done right here. You know, that's my main, goes to my coil. This is a piece of fusible link, and I did some digging, and this goes, what originally went to here on this side, and basically that ran 12 volts, and then this cut it down. So that's what my understanding is. But it's a fusible link, and I didn't turn out too bad. And I did go through all these wires, and that's just like a residual from tape and years of neglect. But I got this wire here that comes off of this, and I think that is pretty sure that's this wire here that's so expertly crimped in 50 different ways. That is actually, I think, something to do with the air conditioner. I gotta dig a little more. But this, I did figure out, this is what goes to my nitrous system. They put nitrous in this, and then they just kind of cobbled this together. There's a couple of this there and the other, and it's got that type of fuse. And so I'm going to pull all this out. So I didn't, it is hooked up, but I'm going to take that out because there's no reason to have that on here, because I'm taking the nitrous out of it. I did find this wire that goes to nothing that I can see. It goes through the floor, or like in the firewall down there, and there's no power to it. So I don't know what this is. I'm gonna have to do some digging on the inside. Well, then I got back again, like I said, pulled tape off. This wire right here is bare. That's 12 volts. There's a little piece of bare. And then right next to it, right down in here, now if you can see that little connector that's sticking out, that is 12 volt hot. Now what the hell? I have no clue, but that's more digging than I'm gonna have to do. But either that, or I gotta pull that sucker out of there. Because yeah, it ain't going to nothing. The thing runs and everything works, so who knows. But anyway, still back at it. I'm gonna find out what some wires are. I hate wiring. I hate that I'm good with it, but it's time consuming. Oh well, part of it, guys, is what it is. See you in a bit. Hey, been a little while. Had some friends come over, family come over, and had to make a parts run. But it's getting later, but it is absolutely awesome outside. So I've been a little bit here and there, as much as I can. My son, oldest one, has to have me work on his crap too. Harley, usually. But this is what I got so far. Now, this is a mock, because I still have to test some wires to see what's what, because I ain't figured it out yet, but I will. right now, this is where I'm at. Everything is set up, and I'm using a product that I normally don't, but in this case I do. I did use it, I did do, as in did use it. But that's this stuff right here. There's a couple of spots on wires where they use Scotch locks, and I really don't want to dig into the wiring and keep having butt after butt after butt on these things, you know. So there was just small little bitty holes, and I use this liquid tape. It's by Dorman. It works pretty good. I've used it on my semi. I've used it on other stuff. But yeah, that stuff right there works pretty good. Only had 2 spots I needed to put it on, and that was right here on that yellow wire. It was just one little pinhole, but it's all good. That there, and then back in the back, let's see if I can get my flashlight. Where's my flashlight? This right here, they had just a little, I don't know, they had something plugged in there, in that thing for extra power. It was 12-volt source with the key on, but the wire was split there, like somebody had cut it and then split it, and the wire was still good, and believe it, yeah, we ain't putting the butt connector on that. So I use that liquid tape on there, and that should be good. And I'm not going to do anything more with that. I've looked through all this. It looks pretty good. The more I get over there, the more I'm going to have to fix some stuff. But I ain't figured out what that is right there. That right there goes to nowhere. But that is some major wires going in. And I'm wondering if that ain't something that has to do with the coil maybe, or something. But I ain't really had time to dig into it. I do know that this thing down here, this canister right there, that I'm going to have to bracket up or something. It still works. That's for the, you know, it runs all the vacuum stuff. But yeah, that wire right there, I had to put some liquid tape, and that one right there, I had to put some liquid tape on, but it should be fine. And then I went to O'Reilly's and I got me a big old roll of this. I got plenty I can do. Money, you know, I use it for everything. And what I'll do is this is a little bit bigger. I'll just fold it over on itself like that and put zip ties on it, nice and neat, black zip ties. This wire here, like I said, that goes to the nitrous system, and that's coming out. I ain't leaving that in there. This is my ignition switch wire for now. That runs all the way by itself into the ignition switch, and the only reason I can think they did that is because of this thing right here. And let me get you a little, this thing right here basically is what controls, you have to have your seatbelt plugged in, or, you know, attached for it to run, for the starter switch to work. And that's how you get around that. You just run that wire all the way in. And there's some other ways, but this is how they did it, and I still have it hooked up that way for now, just for now. But you know, I'm going to take these wires here off yet. That's why I haven't tightened it down good. I did tighten that one down, but I haven't really set this up because I am going to put some of that 3/8 good wrap around these wires for the air conditioning relay right here. Turns out I don't know why they had a power wire going to this relay here for the horns, because both horns work. Matter of fact, they work better now than they did, so I have no clue. So anyway, and there's other wiring things besides these major ones, like all these wires going into these lights, and they're all just kind of hanging, you know. But them I'll get to. I'm gonna put something on those all the way through that hole, because they just got them laying there. So, and it's like that on both sides, and that's just asking for trouble. But it's coming together good. Oh, I did cut myself out pulled this out of here, and I cut myself out a gasket out of another big gasket that I had, just for now, because that was annoying. You could just sit there. It was loud. It was louder than the donut gasket being loose. This thing made all kinds of noise. And this wire goes to the choke. and it works, so I ain't messing with it. But all this stuff down here, these little black wires here, that's all to the nitrous system, and that is all coming out. I have no clue what that is. Don't care. I have no idea. Maybe I should care. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what all this crap is, but that has a pretty significant line, and I think I know where that ends, and maybe I need to look into that too. But that wasn't the most concern I had. My most concern was this mess, and you can see already it is tons better. Tons and tons and tons better. So that's what we're going for. I still got a lot to do, but man, did I get far today. So that'll do it for now. I'll get to this probably through the week, because I'll be working on at night, and I've got a couple more lights I can throw out here and make it nice and bright so they can see me, 20 miles from here and stuff. So been a good day. That's wiring you got to take your time with. Don't rush that, because boy, you cause a fire real quick. So until I get back here, you never know, it might be tonight yet. See ya. Morning. It's like a balmy, I wouldn't say balmy, it's scorching, like 35, 40 degrees out today. It's a few days later. This is my last transmission. I didn't get much further on the car, other than, I used some of that liquid tape stuff that I used to use back in the day. It's a lot easier than trying to fix everybody's Scotch locks mess ups. Just make sure the wire is, good and solid. You can just use that on there. I can show you some of that right here. It worked out pretty good. They had a piece of Scotch lock on this They had a Scotch lock on this main wire right here. That right there. And I put that liquid tape on there, and it solid that up, and it is perfect. Nothing wrong with it. It's also back here. For some reason that wire was cut. Same thing. Excuse me. And it worked out real good. So I did get this in, I guess, if I remember right, and it goes down to this garbled mess. But I don't want to, this I just need to put together and put, some more stuff on it, or may use a little bit of black tape. But I don't want to get all this put in there yet, because a lot of this goes straight under the dash to the ignition switch. For some reason they got around this thing, and they went ahead and just put that in. And this is the original starter switch wire that went right here, and I'd like to see if I can't get that reworking. The one that was on the other side, that was for the coil on the points ignition system, and I'd eliminated that, so it doesn't need to be there anyway. And if I could get that thing working, that would be great. Then I don't have all these extra wires running around. And I know this is coming out because this went to the solenoids. This is your power to your nitrous system, and it needs to come out. I've got that figured out. I still ain't figured out what this is. I haven't had time to really look it up, but this wire is on a road to nowhere. It goes to right here, and I have no clue. So, well, I hope the wind ain't too bad, because it is just nasty out. I have not finished this. This goes to my coil side of my distributor, my ignition, and of course that's the choke. And there's a couple other ones up here, like for this goes to the original oil pressure sender, which I might find a way to, I can run both, that way the dash all works too. But I'm gonna run gauges. I always do. I don't like running dash gauges, they get worn out. So anyway, in the middle of all that's going on, of course I truck for a living, and I've been going to Chicago and back every day, and I've been getting home kind of late. But got to messing around on Marketplace. I found a guy with AMC Javelin parts who didn't have what I wanted, but found a guy and knew a guy that did have what I wanted. So he just happened to live in the area that I deliver parts. So I got something that first day that I had this car, I said, I got to get one. I gotta. So here it is. This is a real AMC AMX rear spoiler, and it's in really good shape other than, you know, little spots, but that is mostly old paint. But it has the AMX badge still on it, but you know, I know my car is not an AMX, but I am going to leave that on there because I don't care if you want to call it a clone, whatever, because honestly, that's, I think, the only mark on the whole car that certifies it as an AMX when it is an AMX. I don't know, don't come for me, it's just a, yeah. But it's been many colors in its life. Looks like it's been on a few cars, but all the studs are good. There's no cracks, there's no nothing. So we can fix up these little blemishes with a little filler. And then I've got an idea for this. I know the first thing you would say is paint it white, it'll look just like the car, you know. But I don't want to do that. I think I'm gonna wrap it in something. Let's see what we got here. Because, you know, it's got the white top, all my bird poop. I know, oh my God, he's setting it on the paint. Yeah, I am. And it sits on there. Well, maybe. Sits on there just like that. No, it's just like that, maybe. I can't leave it on there, it'll fall off, but you get the idea. See? That gives it a lot more character. I like it. Got to be on there. I think that these cars look a whole lot better because, I mean, if you look at the back of it, it just seems kind of missing something. So, whew, boy, that rust spot's getting worse. Look at that bubble. Holy mackerel. Yeah, we may have to do a little bit of body work. I don't want to go driving around with it looking like that. But, you know, it is what it is. The car sat forever. So I'm going to tackle a little bit more of this wiring today. I'm kind of juggling a whole bunch of stuff with family stuff, and you know, I'm doing the best I can is what I'm saying. And then I got to get some other stuff done around here too that I may film, but this car, you know, obviously is the main one. So I'll get to work on her, and I'll see what we come up with. I got some time today. I'll try to get most of this wiring knocked out because honestly I want to set it down and drive it and see how it does with all this wiring, and then, you know, if I have to, we'll stick it back up on the jack stands. But you know, while I got it on the jack stands, I might as well just do it all, right? Right. All right. I'll get back with you when the further I get. So, in the midst of everything, I decided to get underneath there and put some juice on those studs for that exhaust, and I let it sit for a little while, and then scooch my ass underneath there and put a wrench on it, and they ain't gonna budge. They're too rusty. I'm gonna have to put the heat on them and try that, or I'll have to cut the nut off. Well, then I got underneath the dash and started looking at wires and seeing what I need to eliminate and what I should keep, and pretty much everything that's under there I'm gonna have to keep, other than I'm gonna try to figure out this ignition switch wire so I can go back to using the original one. If I can't, it's just a wire. It's I can wire it in correctly, and you know, then it'll be fine. But while I'm doing that, I thought, you know, I'm inside the car, I need to do a rundown of everything. And I was on the driver's side. I looked across the back seat to the other side, and I noticed that what used to be a small hole got really big, and it looks like mice got into it over the winter, and water. And I can tell because, you know, I didn't catch this. This was leaking water right down through here, and holy cow, this whole floorboard is rotted. I might be able to save some of it, but that's not the problem. The problem is right there. I can put my hand in the rocker panel. That is all rusted from there all the way back and all the way that way. So yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out something here. I need to get something on it to stop it, but that means while I'm doing all this, I need to get this interior out and get the carpet out and let this thing air out so I can, you know, figure out what I'm gonna do. Because they do make these, you can buy these, but I think I might be able to just put the sheet metal in there, and because I don't mind not perfect, but I do mind if my son's foot goes through the floor while we're going down the road, and that part is also part of the structural integrity of the car. So yeah, great. That's just great. But we're going to keep going. This car is going on power tour. And then we'll have to figure out what we're going to do as far as, you know, fixing the rust and stopping the rust. Because like I said earlier in another video, man, these things will rust out in a hurry. They just didn't put much anything to inhibit the rust. So, all right, let's get on it. All right, so got it underneath there. Used the gas axe, heated up the exhaust studs on this passenger side. I figured while I got it up in the air, it's best to get on it now. That way I ain't got to worry about it. And I pulled this out. I actually got the nuts loose. They came out with a little heat. It wasn't bad, but here's the donut gasket. And this thing don't look too bad, other than it's hard. It's like super hard. I didn't know they were usually that hard, but anyway, the studs down there in the manifold, yeah, they're junk. So I'm gonna have to try to heat them up. Luckily, somebody had replaced them once, and it's got the little edge for like a 5/16. So I think I may be able to get those manifolds hot enough. I may be able to get those suckers out of there, but if not, I'm gonna have to pull that manifold, and I really don't want to do that, because I'm telling you folks, that thing don't look just too half bad. But I'm afraid if I put a new one in there with the way the studs the way they are, well then you're, you know, it's just going to do this same thing over again. We're going to be doing it again. This is why I always buy headers. It ain't because of the white trash element that I think that I always have to have headers, but they're so much easier to deal with. To me personally, they're easier to deal with. I'm telling you right now, I'm getting close to just ordering them. It's because these wouldn't be hard to get in there, and then the headers would come down. They make them where I wouldn't have to do much. I could just take them to the shop uptown, and they could, or I could put long tubes on it, cut them off, and make my own damn. I can do it. I gotta think about this. Okay, so a little bit of you know, trying to figure this out. This is not the gasket. Like I said, I always put headers on everything. I don't even bother. The actual flange gasket sits on this. It was worn out and gone, which is even worse because that's less studs that are available. There's less thread on the stud. I don't know. I'm gonna run into town, see what comes up of it. I'll bring this in with me. I got to get a couple little things anyway, so I don't know. We're gonna have to figure this out. I may just to hell with it and order headers, because I can hook up the exhaust right to them on the flange. So all right, I'll be back in a bit. I actually cannot believe it. but I went and got a stud kit that had the brass nuts in it, and I put this exhaust back up there with that gasket that was in it, which was nothing wrong with it. I didn't figure there was, and it's fixed, I think. Good as it can be, I guess. You got that stud right here. That was rusty as hell, but there was threads on it good enough, and these brass fittings, that sucker tightened up. I cannot believe it. We'll see how it does, but okay. Next. Maybe next. If I can get back out of here. Well, so I did get the donut thing fixed. That's not leaking anymore. But unfortunately, the biggest part of the exhaust leak now is the manifold gasket itself. So I've ordered me some exhaust manifold gaskets so I have to throw on here. Looks like all the bolts are loose, so I ain't gonna have to fight that at all. That'll be an easy job. It's wide open, you can get right to it. So what do we want to do next, since I can't do much for the wiring anymore? Not yet, not till I get inside. That means I can either start on the front end, do the rear brakes, which don't need to do the rear brakes because I plan on redoing the rear suspension. So I guess that means two things. We get the guts out of the inside and we get the front wheels off and start tearing into these ball joints and control arm bushings. I'll let you know when I get there. So hey, that's going to be all for this video. I actually was underneath it today and had Aiden helping me with a few things, and wow, I found brake lines, I found pieces of the floor, I found wires hanging, you name it. The further back I get, the worse it gets. I had to order a few parts. The wiring for the most part is done, except for under the dash, and then when it just comes out of the firewall, I gotta figure out something to do with that. In the middle of all this rain and really awful Illinois, you know, almost springtime winter, that's just how it goes. So I'm gonna get to work on it again tomorrow, but that's gonna be it for this video. I really appreciate you watching. Please hit the subscribe button, share it to your friends, comment, like, notifications, all that crap. But I'll have a good one coming out next time. It's supposed to be nice, and we're really going to dig into this front end, the rear end, everything. So guys, take care of yourself. I appreciate you watching.